Can you just quickly go again why Spectacle is no bueno? Because I've been using that and I love it.
I don't know that it's a big deal. This app literally, Rectangle does the same shit. So that's what I'm using right now is Rectangle. It does the same exact shit, just a different name. Like, but the difference is this software is just maintained more. So I don't know if like Spectacle at some point is going to pose security risks because the developers just stopped working on it. And since it's an app that's like loaded on your computer, that's why I got rid of it, just to be careful. But yeah. Yeah, it's super easy. It's literally the same fucking thing. So it feels no different. I downloaded this today to give you an idea. And I can do everything that I could do in Spectacle before. So just to give you an idea, it's just two different names. The one that Chris showed us, Moom, is a little bit different. But I'll just show y'all this one. Like I said, I only use this for 4 commands. I don't get too deep into like, and a lot of times you'll find this if you're finding like a workflow software. A lot of times it'll be like maybe like one thing in that software that you use the shit out of. And in this case, that's me. So the next thing that I use is I use that mission control thing to flip around between things. So let me just kind of do a quick refresher since I just started recording. Am I recording, by the way? Did y'all get the message that I'm recording? I want to make sure. Okay, cool. So just a quick refresher. We currently are at the point where we can use Spectacle or some other app. Right now we're actually using Rectangle. And this allows me to move windows around like this. I pretty much only use it for these types of things. You can open up mission control with F4 if you configure it. To configure it, you just have to go into your settings and make sure that you have it configured something like this. You can also use a different key than F4 if you want. I just use F4 because fuck it. Cool. And that allows me to move my full screen windows. But in order for that to be useful, you have to have a command that makes you go full screen. So that actually you don't want to use Spectacle for, because if you wanted to take up the entire display, the only app that has control over that is like your Mac default thing. So I'm trying to see. I know I use, on my computer, I use Control Command F. And I just don't know. I want to find what the keyboard, what the Control Command F. Display. Maybe just try and see if that's default on your computer, but I think it might be just Control Command F. And what that allows, I know on my keyboard, this is configured to where I could do that. And this is also different than the Spectacle or like Rectangle version, which would do, this goes like full screen, but right now I can still like move it around and stuff. When you go like full screen, it takes up the entire display and behaves a little bit differently. Like you don't get the bar at the top. It's just a little bit different. You'll get the feel for the difference between the two. But like if you maximize via like Rectangle, it behaves a little bit differently than when you maximize via your computer. I'm trying to find the key for that, but
it's Command Control F.
Command Control F. Yeah, that's what I have on my keyboard. I just couldn't find the shortcut on here, but that's exactly what it is on my keyboard as well. I thought I had customized it, but I guess not. Yeah. So that's what I do. And typically what I'll do is I'll do Command Control F on different things and I'll flip between them. Also, if you don't have a keyboard or a mouse and you're just working off of your laptop, you can do the same thing. So this command you swipe up with 3 fingers for. So that thing that I was using F4, you can just swipe up with 3 fingers. Bam. For this, swipe left and right with 3 fingers. Super intuitive. So the only keyboard command that you'd really have to remember in that case is just full screen. And I think that would help you a lot. Awesome. So I think we've done a good job of talking about like just window management in general. That's a good start. So the next thing that I want to talk about is like, let's open up a project and do something. So let's see. What I do to open my terminal, I think you can do like Command T or something like that. Command N. Yeah. No, that's not what I wanted. I don't know. Whatever. Let's see. If I press Command Shift End, I don't know. Command Shift T, Command T, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know the actual command to do it because the thing that I use to open up all of my apps is I use this thing called Albert, but you can also just use Spotlight, which Spotlight, if you press Command and space, it opens up this thing called Spotlight Search, and you could check through any of your apps. So for example, if I type in rectangle, I get rectangle app. If I type in iTunes, I probably get iTunes pop up. Oh, and they now call it music app. Interesting. They don't call it iTunes anymore. That's crazy. Times have changed. But yeah, so what I'll do in here is I'll type in terminal or iTerm or whatever terminal you want to use. I'll just use iTerm for now. Bam. It opens up my current iTerm window. Sweet. Let's clear some stuff. Bam. So let's say now I'm in here. Oh, if you are curious about Alfred, it's got some really cool features. I paid like $40 for the full featured version of Alfred. It's actually fucking worth it. It's cool, but I'm not going to go into that today just because I don't want y'all to have to spend $40. And Spotlight Search is pretty fucking good. And also, like, if you want to do stuff with Alfred, you can get Alfred and it does search through things faster in general. So if I'm looking for an app, it just happens faster in Alfred. Like if I'm looking for, let's see, I don't know, why can I not think of an app name? VS Code, it just pops up quicker, which I like because when I know what I want to look for, I type it in like 2 seconds, bam. It just does that faster than Spotlight Search. Super easy to install. If you just look up Alfred, you'll figure it out. Cool. So now that what I would do typically, like if I want to open up a project, let's say I want to actually just create something. Like if y'all want, I could go over like the workflow of cloning down a Learn Lab, but it feels like y'all are kind of past that point. What do y'all think? Cool. So let's talk about like making a project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to CD. Usually what I do is I CD into my throwaway folder. And then inside of my throwaway folder, I want to make a directory for my project. So I could do make directory project name, and then I'll CD into that directory and then use code on that directory. Or if I wanted to, I could also just do take, and then I don't know, what do we want to call our project? Workflow city. Awesome. And when I type in take, it creates that directory and CDs into that directory. So that's a nifty little thing. And then I might type in code dot. Bam. Now this thing popped up and automatically I haven't touched anything, not touching the mouse, but because I just opened this from my terminal, the focus is on this window. So since this focus is on this window, this would be where I hit my shortcut to make that thing full screen. Bam. And now that this thing is full screen, I could do this a couple of ways. I'm pretty comfortable both ways, but this is a great shortcut to know, even if you don't know it, or even if you're not going to use this to create your first files. But I'm going to do it this way. I opened up my terminal by hitting Control and backtick. So now I have a terminal inside of VS Code. I personally like to keep everything inside of VS Code as much as possible. I don't like to flip around between all these different windows on my computer. But like what a lot of people will do will be like, they'll be inside of Workflow City on this terminal, and then they'll flip back and forth between these two. For me, I'd rather use the shortcut to pull it up and drop it down. That's just me personally. There's nothing wrong with using your terminal inside of here. I will say one of the things that initially made me like it more is, let's say I type out a whole sentence. One of the shortcuts that we're going to talk about real soon works inside of this terminal, but does not work inside of this terminal. I'm going to hold Alt and then press Delete. See how I can delete my word? Or I can hold Command and press Delete the whole line. I think that's super nifty, and it's a good way to start getting into like, how do I delete things quickly? Whereas here, if I try doing the same thing, I'm going to hold Alt and press Delete. Oh, no, it's only deleting one. I'm going to hold Command and Delete. Now it's not even deleting anything. So I really like the fact that those shortcuts work in the other terminal. And that's honestly half the reason why I initially liked the VS Code terminal. Now, something I'm pretty mindful of, and I do to try and keep myself organized, is I really do try my best to have one project open at a time. In general, like if I have multiple VS Code, oh, I just closed my project. But in general, if I have multiple VS Code projects open at the same time, I'm confusing myself. It's usually not necessary. It's usually totally cool for me to close a whole project before. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but for me, I like doing it that way. And you'll get other benefits from it later on as well. But I think just mentally having that space on my computer helps me think. Like physical, like I don't have clutter here, helps me think personally. Awesome. So now let's actually create some things. Okay. So I want to create a we'll call it working.rb. Nice. So now I have a working.rb. We're just gonna create a cool we're gonna make, and I have to, am I in, okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure I'm not in Vim mode. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create an array of objects. So I'm gonna start off. I personally always, close everything that I open and then move my cursor back, and that's just like a habit thing, so I don't mess up the code that I'm writing. You don't necessarily have to do it that way, but we're just gonna call this data right now. And then in here, we're gonna go ahead and I am going to make an array. And inside of this array, I want to make, we'll call it people actually. P-E-O-P-L-E. And each person is going to have a name. So we'll start with Chris. Whoops. And an age, which Chris is obviously 21. Cool. Nice. Now what I don't want to do is I don't want to do all that typing to make one object over again. So there's a couple things I could do here. One of them is I could hold shift and then press up, up, up. And what I'm doing is I'm highlighting a bunch of shit. So in general, if you hold shift and move your arrow keys around, it's going to highlight things. So in this case, let's try it again. Shift, down, 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 down. Bam, I highlighted that stuff. And I want the cursor to end on the line that I'm done with. So now what I could do is I could press Command C, and then I could hit Enter, and then Command V. And now I've copied it again. Cool. Does everybody know how to do Command C, Command V? Cool, that one's pretty easy. That's just copy paste. But there's a way that's even quicker in here. And what you can do, if you would so choose to do so, is you could also highlight these lines, hold Alt, Shift, and down, and now I copied all of those. So this winds up becoming a pretty nice way to just create a bunch of data. I personally like doing that a lot. So now if I have, Chris, cool, maybe we have Blake. I don't want to press that many characters just to delete Chris. So I'm going to go ahead and hold Alt, press delete. Now I'm going to type in Blake. And Blake is obviously 22. Cool. So let's start making a list of the things we've talked about. We're going to call it shortcuts. .market. So first of all, we have, I'm not going to write like what the shortcuts are because you're going to make them yourself, but we have all of the and we'll say like good for splitting your window up. And then now you're going to have one that's for full screen. And this is going to be Command plus Control plus F. And this is the Mac full screen. And in general, well, yeah, we'll leave it like that. Flip between full screens. Either 3-finger swipe left or swipe left, right, or what does anybody remember the command for that?
Control arrow.
Yep, control. We'll go left arrow slash right arrow. Cool. Nice. So that's a good one. What else did we talk about? We talked about, we went, open up VS Code terminal. What's that one?
Just code dot.
Yeah, no, just to open up the terminal when you're in VS Code. So
Oh,
that,
control backtick.
Control J.
yeah, that one I would say, yeah, it's control backtick, exactly.
Hey, John, what's the difference between Control J and Control Backtick?
I don't know. Let's find out.
We can do Command J and Control Backtick. I think it does the same thing.
Oh, Control.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm new to Mac, so I keep mixing up Control and Command.
No, Control J did. Oh wait, no. You know what? What is Command J? Oh, Command J, I guess, does the same exact thing. I've just never done it that way. It's the same thing though.
You can do Control Backtick with one hand though, so that's maybe more convenient. Or I guess, I guess you could do Command J with one hand too.
Actually, Command J would be more convenient for me. I didn't know that that existed.
Oh.
That actually is sweet for me.
That's funny, John. I thought you were the one that told me that.
I never use Command J for that. I'm gonna start. That's way more convenient than Control Backtick for me, especially because my computer, I have to access my keyboard. I have to access a function layer just to access the backtick. So I'm actually pressing 3 buttons there, and my hands are kind of like that when I do it. It feels cool when I do it, but yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not that awkward for me to do either way, but Command J would definitely be faster. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Cool. See, I'm telling you, you learn shit all the time. All the time. Cool. So to open up your VS Code terminal, you could do Control Backtick, or you could do Command J, which is fucking sweet. Cool. Does anybody know how you make text bigger?
You can use a trackpad gesture, right?
What?
Oh no.
Oh yeah,
just
you
kidding.
could use a trackpad gesture. If you don't use your trackpad though, any other ideas?
And plus and minus.
So yeah, you could do a trackpad zoom, but yeah, command and then
And
plus
minus.
or minus. I'm just gonna say how to change text size. So cool. And yeah, let's see what that does. Command plus, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, pretty easy to do.
Hey,
It's
simple
really great if
question.
Yeah.
How do you actually make your font larger in VS Code? I don't want to make the window larger. I literally want like size 20 font when I type in VS Code.
You probably have to go into your settings. So this is actually a good one. We're going to write this down as we do it. Open some type of VS Code setting. So if you press Command plus Shift plus P plus start typing the thing that you want. So I'm going to do, watch this, ready? Command Shift P, and I'm just going to go font, zoom in. What does that do? I mean, it looks like that did the same thing. Oh, I see. Huh, look at that. You could just do that. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
You can go in there and actually change the font and change.
Yeah, is there like a
the
CSS
color.
file I could manipulate or something?
I
Like, I
think
wanna,
what you
like-
can do is you can go to your settings. So there's two settings that you have on VS Code. There's a JSON file, which is for like some more picky customizations. And then there's just like, let's see. Open settings. And this is the user interface. So here you have all these settings. If you go to your text editor, font. Yep. You can
That's
do
That
exactly what I
very
wanted.
first commonly used, if you go back to that first commonly used, it was right there. Oh yeah, here too, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also,
So this works. And honestly, like, I don't know how much different this is actually going to affect things than just using command plus and command minus. That's why it's like, I do notice when I do command plus that it does resize the whole terminal, but usually that doesn't matter for me. Honestly, it might be better for me to do that. Let's see. If I go to my settings, let's see if I just make this size or font. Let's make it big. Let's go 20. See what it looks like. Cool. Let's see what I get. Oh yeah. I mean, that is nicer. I like that because then this thing isn't fucking huge too. I don't know.
Is there a way to whenever I open a new Ruby file, it always has my spaces set at 4, and I always
Sorry.
change it.
Go for it again. Sorry about that. I was just distracting myself for no reason.
That's all good. Whenever I open a new Ruby file, it always does the spaces to I think 4, and I always try to change it back to 2.
Yeah, I think you can go into your settings here, and you could do like a default tab size. So I think what you would look up is tab size and number of spaces it should use per tab. Oh, I didn't know I could figure that. I don't know. You could probably poke around your settings and find a lot pretty quickly. Oh yeah, editor tab size. Bam.
Oh yeah,
That's what you want to change.
cool. Thanks.
Does anybody accidentally press enter and accept some changes all the time? Because I've had that before, where it's like let's say I'm typing something here, like, see how all these things come up, and you can autocomplete it like that. Well, on mine, it used to be that whenever I pressed enter, it accepted it, and I hated that, so I changed it to only use tabs. If anybody wants to make that change, you could do that. You can go into your settings.json, and this might be good because it'll show you like kind of what this is. But these are like your custom settings. But basically, you can just add this you probably want in there, and then tab completion on. And where's the one that says enter? There's one with enter. Hang on a second. Oh yeah, this. I hate this. I hate that when I press enter, it auto completes it. So I had to turn that off. Otherwise, I was going to drive myself fucking crazy. You can totally configure autocomplete of like, quotes, brackets. Right now I have that off, but it's only because I'm using a different text editor thing. If I was doing text editing like y'all should be for right now, I probably would leave autocomplete on brackets and parentheses and stuff like that on, which I think is default to VS Code, right? Like y'all are getting your brackets completed and shit, right? Like if you type, most of y'all, I'm assuming if you type in, like let's say a left bracket, it creates a right bracket for you. Cool. I think that's nice when you're doing code this way, so that's good. It's a little bit different when you get to like I'm doing a whole different kind of thing here, so there's a reason why I'm not doing that. I thought it was nice back when I was using like regular mode, so cool. Cool. So we just kind of went over some VS Code configuration. Let's talk about some of those shortcuts that we were dealing with. So shortcuts. This is a big one. So just moving a cursor around quickly. So for this, I want y'all to play around and just hold Alt down and arrow around. I want y'all to see what happens. Everybody hold Alt. Alt is Option, by the way. Alt, Option, same thing. So hold Option down and just arrow around. See what happens.
What's Alt on Mac?
Option. Same thing.
It does not work for me. Does nothing.
Really?
Yeah. I'm hitting-
Interesting.
It made a bunch of brackets and D's on mine.
Interesting.
It's like moving my lines around.
Interesting. So here's what Alt does. So when you move left and right, you move by word. Kind of like if I delete while holding Alt, it deletes by word. Right? Is that working for everybody? With just the left and right.
Yeah, I got that now.
Cool. If you hold Alt down and you move up, it takes a line and it moves it up. Right? So for example, let's say that I'm in this data structure and I want to swap Chris and Blake. I want Blake to go first. I can hold Shift down, arrow up, arrow up, arrow up, move to the beginning of the line. I'll hold Alt down to do that for now, so that way I can just skip a bunch of those extra presses. And now I can hold Alt down, and I can move it down, 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 down. And now Chris comes after Blake. So something like that is like a really strong use case for like, okay, if you have well indented code, now that copied and pasted over nicely. It's like, oh, okay, I don't have to deal with any of that formatting. I just dragged that shit down and it worked. So that's pretty nice. Any questions on that?
Yeah. So I know that like you could grab a specific like, name Chris or whatever, and then highlight all of those lines and then change all of them in one shot.
The elusive multi-cursor, the
But
thing that everybody is curious about.
are you able to highlight the information and then go down each instance and change them differently?
Good question. So what you can do, what he's talking about is multi-cursor. So multi-cursor would be like, let's say I wanted to change all of these names to be like cool names, right? I can hold down Command and D, and I could check through all of them. This is what I like about Command D. I can keep going and see what I did highlight. For now, I highlighted all of them. I can now edit these just as if my cursor was there for one of them. So I could maybe make this cool person name. There we go. And now I've just edited all of those, which is nice. That's a fun one. That's one of those ones where when you figure out you can do it, you're like, oh, that's fucking cool. And by the way, that pairs really nicely with, oh, Shift, Alt, left arrow, Command D, bam. Now I can change all these. That's a very nice workflow there. So like, it takes time to get used to doing that fast. Super nice once you get used to it.
So but like if I just needed to change like the name key, right?
Yep.
And I highlighted Chris because I have 15 Chris's. And then I wanted the second key to be Phil, the third key to be Tara, the fourth key to be Steven. Can I do that without having to?
Yeah, this is where you could do a Command F, and I think there's a search and replace. Actually, I think you might have to search. There should be a search and replace feature in here. I never use it. But
Wait, how do you stop doing Command D?
how do you stop it? You just press escape.
Okay.
Good call. So we're gonna write that down. We'll call it multi-cursor. I always use Command D. There's one that by default highlights all the instances, but I feel like that's terrible practice because it's just a matter of time before you delete something or change something important on accident. I like how Command D forces you to like kind of look at each one, or you can at least. So cool. Multi-cursor highlights a bunch of the same thing, and I like to use Command plus D. But now we're going to talk about a search and replace, which I never use in VS Code, but it is nice. And I use it in Vim. So Vim has a built-in search and replace. But this is actually good to know. I just never used it that much, but it still is good to know. Looks like Control-Shift-L will do it. Let's see. Control-Shift-L. Nope, didn't like that. Let's see. Search and replace. Oh, you just expand the search widget. So if you type in Command F, it's a search widget. And then it looks like you can expand it by clicking on that. There you go. So now we'll do cool person's name. Right? We'll start at the top here. Bam, 1 out of 9, the first instance of it. I can replace it with cheese time. Great. If I press enter, it should replace it. Now I want to replace this one with pizza party. Great. Replace that one. Now I'm going to replace this one with flippin' schnitzel. Great. Got the idea? That do the trick for you? Now I'm curious if I open up. I am curious if I open up. I wonder if there's a way to default this to being search and replace. I don't know. I bet you anything. If I look up replace on here, there's some setting associated with that. Search. Oh, find in the text editor. Files. I don't know. There might be a way to open that up by default, but still, it's not that big of a deal. Like either way, like I guess here, if you wanted to refactor a whole shit ton of code, you would type in. So let's go ahead and type this in: search and replace. So this actually would be nice. Now that I think about it, I can think of use cases for this that I never used. So let's give this a shot. I'm going to do search and replace, and that's going to be Command F. And you could open the drop-down menu to continue that, to do the replace. So if you don't open the drop-down menu, you can just search for something. So if I type in flip, bam, cool. I find the instance of flip in here. But it looks like the replace. It'd be nice if there was like some shortcut there, but there's not. Whatever. Cool. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty cool, actually. I'll show you an instance where I think this would be nice. Let's say I want to create. Y'all have done object-oriented programming, right? Cool. So I want to. Oh, by the way, something I forgot to mention was if you hold down Alt and move left and right. Whoops. Hold down Alt and move left and right, it moves by word. If you hold down Command and move left and right, it moves the entire line. Or in this case, to the start of text, end of text. But yeah, which is nice. Also, top of the file, bottom of the file. That's pretty nice. So we're going to go and record that one down too. So here, now I'm going to execute it right now. I'm going to hold down Command, and then I'm going to press down. And now I'm going to type in, actually, you know what? We're going to put it by the Alt. Moving the cursor around quickly. So here, let's go. I hit Command and then right arrow to get to the end of the line. Press Enter. So we'll say Alt. And then we'll go left or right. Move by word. And also delete by word. Also highlight by word if you hold down Shift. Shit. Oops. Ha. That was bound to happen. Okay. Alt up down. Actually, we'll do Command left right. Command left or right is going to be move to beginning or end of line. You worked with delete or highlight. Same thing. You could do all that. Same idea. Then we could do alt up, or I have no up or down. Will move a line or highlighted lines up or down, which is cool. Now note that with this, you don't have to highlight the whole line. I'm not highlighting anything on this line, and if I hold alt and press up, it moves it up and down, which I think is cool. And then we can do command up or down is move a cursor to top or bottom of page. Note though, on this one, try holding shift and doing it. And you will copy lines of code up or down, which is nice. So for example, if I hold down alt shift up, I just doubled that line. Alt shift down, I doubled it, but now it went under instead of over. You'll get the used to how that works as you mess around with it. Just try it and give it a shot. I'll also send out this document because I know there's like a lot of shit to think about. Don't stress too much about it. Let's go over a good use case for that search and replace actually. So let's say I wanted to create a person, right? I would do person.new and then I would put in, I would maybe do something like this. John equals person.new and then name John, which is kind of cool. And then age 27, whatever. Nice. I'll show you what my workflow would have been if I wanted to create a bunch of people. So what I would do is now I'd take this, I would hold down alt shift down, just create a few of them. And then what I typically would do is I'd highlight this guy. And this is actually a plugin, which is a multi-cursor plugin. Let's see. Smart multi-cursor. Yeah. I don't know if this is the right one. Hold up. Multi-cursor. Oh, yeah. Multiple cursor case preserve. I thought this was a nice one. So I like this for doing this. I don't use it anymore because I'm doing Vim stuff now. But right now, if I wanted to, I could highlight this word, hit Command D, and then change this to Jeff. And now this case was preserved, which can be nice. Jeff, John, Jimmy preserves the case, which is good. But yeah, you can edit things pretty quickly this way. Another way you could do this is you could do, this is kind of nice. So this is something that we just figured out. Command F, search and replace. I'm going to look for all instances of John, right? And hey, look, now it highlights by that anyways. And maybe this one I want to replace with Jimmy. So let's see, I'm on 4 of 18. Bam, so I replaced it with Jimmy. I have to go back though. Bam. So now I could replace this with Jimmy. Bam. Here, jelly. And now I can do jelly. Horse person. Now I could do horse person. I actually like that. That's a good workflow, I think. Especially if you could type fast, you could do that pretty quick. Because like now I'm just deleting. That's fun. Let's see. See, so this first one should be snake cased. So now I could go crappy Kyle snake cased and then manually just type in crappy Kyle. Bam. So that's kind of a fun one. Thanks for that tip, Steve. Awesome.
While we're
So-
on that one,
What?
I said while we're on this topic, do you use Faker? Do you know that, Jim?
I don't. But yeah, it's a good gem. It's cool for getting like fake data. For sure. All right, what other questions y'all got?
Phil, at Blood Oath, did you say something that you had a way of like making a class so that it like built out a default class?
Yeah, if you type class in that little box that pops up next to it, it should say like class initialize in sort of like
Yep.
grayed out letters.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Ready? Class. See that guy? All I did was press down arrow a couple times to get to it. And now I press tab. Boom. I also never use that. But is only just because I just am not in the habit. If you don't have that box show up, it might be a plugin that's installed that gives you those snippets.
I have the box, it just doesn't do that when I hit the
Did you press enter or tab?
enter.
Try pressing tab instead.
No, it just gives me a regular line. I'll mess with it. There's certain things on my setup that are not working, like code dot doesn't work. I just get,
Oh, that's that. I'm really glad you brought that up because I'm assuming the error that you get is let's see. Wait, let me guess it. Command code not found. Right?
yes. Yeah.
Cool. So this is if anybody else is getting that error, raise your hand. Cool. So there is, I don't know if anybody else is, but anyways, what more than likely is happening is that go to your applications folder. And if you look in your applications folder, look for, and this should be here. If you're having difficulty getting to that, I'll wait a second. But in general, like you're looking through this application folder for VS Code, and I feel like there's like a 60% chance that it's not in there.
No, my VS Code is in there.
It's in applications or is it in downloads?
It's in applications.
Okay,
because
cool.
The
Then-
instructions say, move it to applications. So I
Okay, then all you should have to do is, yeah, if you type in Command, Shift, and P, again, that goes into like your VS Code settings. Like you can just search through them. I type in path, and then I see this thing that says shell command, install code command in path. Have you done that yet?
no.
Cool. That's the money right there. That'll do it.
Sweet.
Cool.
Great, thanks.
No problemo. What else we got? Whoa, that looks hideous. Oh God, this is the worst plugin I've ever seen. Look how hideous that highlight looks. I would never use that. It's disgusting.
Are there any other like cool shortcuts or Emmet commands for Rails? Like that we might need to know?
Emmet is not, Emmet is actually like specific to HTML and CSS. If you see Emmet abbreviations, that's a thing that I'll show you what it is real quick, but don't worry about it because you're not going to be writing any HTML for a little while. Let's say I'm making index.html. Emmet commands are like these short, they're called Emmet abbreviations, like it says right there. It's just these shortcuts that represent a bunch of HTML. So right now, I'll hit tab on that. It creates all of this, which is fucking sweet. And then let's say I want to make an H1 tag and give it a class of like header. I can do this, and it's an Emmet abbreviation. So it's like, it's kind of like an algorithm for writing a lot of code, and it's just a quick way of doing it. So I do that, creates this. You don't have to learn those, but they're nice. They're fun to use. So it's
Is there anything like that that we could use like for Ruby specifically?
no, not the same level in Ruby. There's other ways of writing Ruby really fast, but that's more of like learning Rails than it is like snippets. So we would call that type of thing that we just did like auto completion, right? So that's really your text editor doing the heavy lifting for you. With Rails will actually do the heavy lifting for you. Just don't worry about it yet. We'll get to that soon. For now, it's not that much boilerplate that you don't actually save that much work by those snippets in Ruby. That's just kind of the way it is. Like if you think about the amount of words that it actually took to write this function, 3 words. That's literally 3 words, right? So it's not like a whole bunch of stuff that you write there anyways. I don't know if that makes sense, but like you can get things that do that kind of shit though. Like, so for example, I think you can do one, I'm not sure if I have it on right now. Yeah, see that one's a little plugin that I got that just closes out an end. So I just type in like def, what's up? And then when I press enter, it automatically closes it out. That's just a little plugin. I don't know what it's called.
I think that one's endwise, John.
Endwise. It's probably a bunch of them. Rainbow end is one of them. Tab 9 is auto completion. I might actually enable this. Tab 9, you could try out if you want to try it, but it's like, it's AI that senses, it guesses what your code should be. So there's some algorithm trying to guess what you're doing next. So let's see. Now that I enabled it, we'll see what pops up. If I say def, say hello. Oh, see, it gives me a whole bunch of things that may not be useful. For me, those were not useful. But I think it's better for JavaScript. I don't know. I'll probably leave it on. I don't know if it'll help. It might not. I might turn it off. We'll find out. It's really easy. One thing that's really nice about VS Code is if you install a plugin and it's fucking you up, just turn it off. Like, it's that easy. It's just like, oh, I installed some plugin and it's fucking me up. Just turn it off. Like, all you got to do is go to this thing right here. Look at the plugins that you have on. Like, so these are all, I guess you can look up the ones that you have installed right here. And it's like, oh, okay, I have 63 plugins installed. Is there any of them that I'm not using? Let me just turn it off. Like, it's easy. Cool. Oh, plugins. Does everybody have this rainbow indent plugin? Because that thing is fucking a good practice kind of thing. Raise your hand if you've got it. Cool. If you don't have it, if you just go to indent rainbow here, bam, you install it. The reason why this is good is because it forces you out of some bad practices. So like one of them would be like, oh, okay, these two things are in line with each other. What if I do that? Oh, fuck, like that looks clean. That might look clean to me if I don't have indent rainbow on. Right? I have to reload. Let's see. Like to me, that looks clean. It actually does not look clean to me, but I bet it would look clean to most of y'all. For me, it doesn't look clean, and it's not clean, so it shouldn't look clean. So the nice thing about like indent rainbow, there's a couple nice things about indent rainbow. Whoops. Thought I was in here. One of the things is that, well, it's going to literally tell me, holy shit, I fucked up right there. Fix that. Easy fix, right? Like, and it causes you to be looking at your code more critically and checking your tabs. And tabs are like one of the easiest ways to stay organized with the code that you write. It's like, for example, when I'm reading this, I know that this is an array, and inside of that array, each one of these items is an object, and it's really easy for me to read because, okay, well, this array is this yellow line. So anything on par with this yellow line is the same like level of nesting as this array. And also indent rainbow tells me that those are connected. So like that becomes a very visual cue for me of how to read this data. I love that. That makes my life a lot easier when I'm reading through code. Same thing here. Oh, cool. Everything that's next to this purple tab is part of this hash. Everything inside this purple tab is part of this hash. Same thing with, functions. When I write a function, do a thing, cool. Everything inside of this yellow part is inside of the function. Or maybe I'll do an enumerable like array dot each do, and then for each thing, whatever, end. Cool. Now everything inside of this tab is inside of this enumerable. And it just becomes it seems dumb, but like if my code looked like this, that's so much harder to read. I cannot read that. I would have to correct those tabs before trying to read it because I would just get pissed off trying to read it. Like me still after programming for a year. So, yeah. Oh, this is another helpful thing that I forgot to mention. You can, whoops, what did I just do? Weird. I don't know what I just pressed to do that. What? If you have a line, oh, I have some weird setting on here. Anyways, if you highlight a whole line and press, there's some strange setting on here that I have. I don't know what it is. But,
is uppercase N an actual thing or no?
No, I have some weird setting where right now if I press tab, it turns everything capital. I don't know why that's happening. It's probably some complex setting that worked in Vim and doesn't work here. Whatever, don't worry about it. Don't stress about that. It probably doesn't do that for y'all. But like in general, you can highlight a bunch of lines of code, tab them in, untab them. And so we'll write that down in here. And then also, you can hold shift and do the same thing to reverse that. So if I'm here and I want to tab this backwards, shift tab, 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 shift tab, whatever. You get the idea. Cool. What else? What else? What else? What else? Any other questions?
John, can you go back to your file with the notes on it, please?
Yes, just so you know, your shortcuts are going to be different. They're not the same. This is just a Linux fact. Yours are going to be different. They're not going to be
right.
that much different.
Some of the VS is the same.
What?
Some of the VS is the same though.
Definitely a lot of the VS Code stuff is the same. For
yeah,
you,
John.
What?
Oh, sorry. Can you share this markdown file?
I was going to. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was going to give this out to y'all afterwards. I just wanted y'all to focus on like what we're saying and doing in here. But for you, Marissa, like the window management stuff, like doing stuff like this, you can play around with just holding the start button and left arrow, right arrow. That's a good way to get started with those shortcuts.
Thank you.
Yeah, that might be, just play around with that. You'll find that you can do stuff. Windows has a nice feature where, like, if you choose to move something to the left of your screen, it'll open up all like the windows like this, and it'll let you select which one you want to go to the right, which is actually kind of nice. It's kind of a nice workflow. You can also, like, kind of like how I'm using Spotlight Search here, or actually I use Alfred, but it's the same kind of thing. How I use Spotlight Search to open up like, oh, let me go to Google Chrome. You could do the same thing on Windows, but you just press the start key and start typing in the app you want to use. So that's a fast way to kind of navigate around on Windows. Cool. What other questions we got? Anything? Lastly, if you're struggling to keep up with typing, it couldn't hurt to put 10 minutes a day into something like that. It helped me a lot. When I was a student, I was like 30 words a minute. I was slow. I was slow at typing. And the thing with typing, the place where you want to be with typing is like you can kind of stop practicing once you get to this place, but you want to be able to type without looking at your keyboard. If you can do that, then you're getting better at typing every time you type. So I just use the best website that I found was typing.com. I think was good. You could also play my game if you wanted to. I built a typing test for my capstone project. Ha ha ha. But for real, I did. Anyways, you could go in here. It's what I really like about this. This is why this is my favorite one for learning. Not necessarily for just having fun, but for learning, it's my favorite because let's say I do a beginner JF in space. Cool. Whatever. This is just training me on how to use JF in space. Skip that video. Not important. The thing that I like about this is because it's got like hands on a screen in front of me. I don't have to memorize the entire keyboard. I kind of get a visual hint looking at it. Like one, bam, cool. I can kind of see what's going on there. Wow, 96 words a minute just typing the J key. See, watch, ready? Let's see how fast I can do this. Damn it, I fucked it up. Oh, there's a J in there, those bastards. I was just trying to speed type. Oh, man. Let's see how fast I can get it. Fuck. Oh, well. Cool. Anyways, you get the idea, though. You can learn how to type pretty quick doing stuff like that. I think like maybe if you put 10 minutes a day in a month, you'd be a lot faster at typing, and you'd put 10 minutes a day into typing, and it's relatively like low brain power. And I think it makes it a lot nicer for keeping up with like lessons and shit like that. I think that's something that helped me a lot. By no means do you have to be a good typer or anything like that to be a good programmer. I've watched videos of these like amazing programmers who type like hunt and peck. So like, I don't want anyone to think I have to be a good typer before I become a good programmer. I just didn't. I think it helps me personally, but yeah. Cool. Any other questions? Nothing? Nothing cool? No questions? All right, that's good. There's a lot here. I'll go ahead and post this in. Should I post it in the thread or like upload a GitHub repo that y'all could have a link to? I'll do the GitHub repo. In fact, who wants to learn how to create a GitHub repo? Cool. So the first thing that you do is you go to github.com/new. And this is just, if you're already logged into GitHub, it's like your way of creating a new repo. You're going to go ahead, we're going to call this shortcuts. Nice. These are some shortcuts. Duh. Create a repository. Bam. So now I've created a repository. If I haven't already created like a Git project, I could do this, but I'm going to walk through how you would start any Git project in general first. So I'm going to open back up VS Code, which I don't know where that window is, but oh, okay, so it's to my right. So notice my workflow there. Cool. What I would do is I would open my terminal. Whoops. Which actually I should have used Command J. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? Cool. So when I'm in here, the first thing that I would do is I would start a Git repository. A Git repository lives on your computer, not on the hub, right? But you can use Git to connect to the hub. But when I type in git init, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to type in ls-a before I type in git init. And then I'm going to type in git init. I'm going to type in ls-a just to list hidden files as well. And if we see, now we have this folder called a .git repository, right? Or folder, it's not the repository. A repository is a word to talk about what this folder becomes when we initialize it in Git. But so yeah, this thing became a Git folder. And now that this is a Git folder, I can add all the files in here. Oh, Git add all. And then I can commit those changes. And I could type in first commit because this is my first commit. And hey, if you look here, it almost does exactly the same thing there. The only thing is that they add this into the README. You don't need that. Then what we basically need is we have a Git repo that we added changes to. And for now, I'll just say, if you already have a Git repo set up, you can just copy these changes over and bam, bam. Oh, Git remote. Why didn't it work? Oh, you know what? I need to do Git whatever. I think I'm just going to do the, yeah. Let's see. I think you want to do this part first. I'm going to copy this order after that first commit. What the fuck? Oops. Failed to push some refs to remote origin already exists. Git branch. We'll try one line at a time. Git branch -m main. Oh, it doesn't like that. What the balls? Well, we can kind of cheat. If you're ever winding up in some weird Git stuff, you could also just delete your Git folder. So if I'm here, what I would do is I could just delete right now. I could just remove that Git folder. And I'm just going to copy and paste all of this stuff. Cool. Bam, bam, bam. Only because I'm just trying to get this up for y'all. Bam, it did all that. And now I want to add all my changes and commit, second commit, whatever. This was not a great intro to Git here, so don't. Okay, and now when I refresh this, it should have all these files on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and post this repo in my, it'll be in the thread for where workflow. And we're good to go. Nice. Thank y'all for coming out. Do you have any other questions? Do y'all really want me to post this video, or do you think that the shortcuts should be enough, that like document? Because I would almost venture to say that if you're going back and watching a video on how to do shortcuts when there's a whole list of them right in front of your face, that might be an inefficient use of time. What do y'all
Yeah,
think?
the shortcut should be fine. That shortcut you pushed up should be fine.
Yeah, the list is good.
Awesome.
I'm not gonna watch a whole video, I'm sure.
Cool. Good shit. Glad to hear it. That means I don't have to spend 10 minutes uploading it. Awesome. All right. Everyone have a great day.
Thanks, John.
No problem. Peace. I want to check this chat though. How's it going, Lou? How you been?